I didn't raise my voice when the HOA president slid a grainy auction flyer across the table and told me the sheriff was already on his way. I didn't argue when she said I had abandoned my ranch and forfeited my rights. I just set my phone down, opened a scanned PDF, and rotated it so everyone could read the county seal at the top. The room went quiet in that peculiar way it does when people realize they're standing on the wrong side of a document. 2 weeks earlier, my life had been exactly what I wanted it to be: quiet, predictable, and deliberately small. I bought the ranch for the space, not the prestige. One long gravel drive, a modest house, a weathered barn, and enough land that my nearest neighbor's porch light looked like a star at night. I traveled occasionally for work short trips, nothing dramatic, and when I was home, my routine didn't change. Morning coffee on the back steps, fence checks in the afternoon, wind in the grass, silence that felt earned. The HOA came with the land, technically. A thin packet of bylaws from the early 2000s that mostly covered road maintenance and mailbox placement. I skimmed them once, filed them away, and never thought about them again. I paid dues on time. I waved at board members when I saw them. I had no interest in governance, power, or neighborhood politics. I wanted privacy and got it until I didn't. The first letter arrived while I was out of state. A notice of noncompliance, taped to my gate and mailed to my forwarding address. It claimed my property appeared unmaintained and cited an ordinance about extended vacancy. The fine was small, almost insulting, and I assumed it was a mistake. I emailed the board politely, explained I was traveling for work, and attached photos from the previous week showing the ranch in better condition than it had been in years. They didn't respond. Instead, a second notice appeared, this one heavier, more formal. It alleged abandonment. That word stuck with me. Abandonment isn't casual, it's a legal conclusion. The fine doubled. A deadline appeared. I replied again, calm and documented, referencing the bylaw section on occupancy and state statutes defining abandonment for rural property. Still nothing. When diplomacy fails quietly, it often fails on purpose. The escalation came fast. I was copied on an internal email chain, by accident, or so they said, discussing a lien. Then a third letter arrived, this time certified, informing me the HOA intended to recover costs by initiating a sale process if the property remained unattended. I read it twice in a hotel room that smelled like industrial cleaner and bad coffee. That's when the disbelief turned into something colder. That night, I stopped writing emails and started reading. I pulled my original deed from the county's online portal and requested the archived plat maps. I compared the HOA's founding documents to the state's rural property code. I learned the difference between vacancy and absence, between maintenance and use. I scheduled a call with a local land use attorney who spoke slowly and asked me to email everything. He didn't interrupt. When I finished, he said, "They can't do that," and then explained why, section by section. The HOA had overreached in 3 separate ways. They misapplied an urban ordinance to agricultural land. They ignored the state's explicit prohibition on HOA-initiated sales without judicial review. And they violated their own bylaws by failing to notify me properly before escalating fines. It was a stack of small mistakes that added up to a big one. While I was gone, they'd gone further. A neighbor forwarded me a photo of a handwritten sign at the end of my drive advertising an estate auction. When I learned the HOA president had called 911 to report a suspicious return when I came home early, rolling up the drive with my bags still in the truck. I remember the sound of gravel under tires and the way the air felt heavier than usual. I remember standing there, hands visible, explaining to a deputy that I lived there. He asked for ID. I handed it over. He looked at the house, the barn, the land stretching behind it, and then back at me. "Seems pretty occupied," he said. The meeting was scheduled for the following week. I slept badly until then, not out of fear but out of focus. When you're documenting something, you notice everything: the thickness of paper, the dates and headers, the way language shifts when authority is assumed instead of earned. I printed my exhibits and slid them into a folder with tabs. The attorney offered to attend. I declined. This was my land. I wanted to be the one to place the document on the table. So when the HOA president accused me of trespassing and mentioned the auction again, I waited. I let her finish. Then I placed the county certified deed, the state statute, and the bylaw excerpt in front of her, aligned and legible. I explained calmly what each meant. I didn't threaten. I didn't raise my voice. I just stated what would happen next if they continued. Their lawyer didn't speak. He stared at the seal like it might move. One board member asked if they could take a break. Another resigned by email that night. The auction flyer disappeared the next morning. Aftermath is rarely dramatic. The HOA withdrew the fines, issued a written apology, and quietly amended its procedures. The president stepped down for personal reasons. Neighbors avoided eye contact for a while, then nodded again like nothing had happened. The ranch went back to being what it always was, quiet, predictable, and mine. I keep the folder in a drawer now, mostly because paper has a way of reminding people what words can't. The HOA leaves me alone. Everyone does.